Hello, everyone. Let's get started. My name is Kim Dalsgaard Christensen. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Continia Software. I am the humble host of this event. But in a few minutes, I will let screen and sound to Anne Bjerre, who will make a presentation of the latest features in Continia Banking 2025 R1. For those of you who haven't met Continia before, let me give you a quick introduction. Continia is an international software vendor fully dedicated to developing solutions that enhance the financial capabilities in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Our entire portfolio is delivered through our partners, and all solutions are available on Microsoft App Stores. As of April 1st, all our solutions have been upgraded to the new 2025 R1 version, supporting Business Central 2025 Wave 1, also known as version 26, both in the Continia and Microsoft world. And just to add, as today, we have released almost all extensions that support our solutions on Business Central on-premises. To support this event, we have established a comprehensive range of latest feature webinars. Since you did register for this one, you will get access to the recording of this event. Furthermore, we will make recordings of all webinars available on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel, and you will be notified when new videos are published. The pure purpose of our latest features webinars are to show the new added features and improvements to an existing set of features from the previous versions. If you are interested in a full walkthrough of a solution like Continia Banking, we also offer webinars for that purpose. Just go to our webinar page at our website to register. And with those words, I will let sound and screen to Anne. Are you ready to go, Anne?
Yes, I am. Good. I also want to say hi and welcome to everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. This is our very first What's New webinar for Continia Banking. For those of you that don't know, we launched Continia Banking back in October last year. So this webinar will be all about what we've had in preview in the last half year and what we released on the 1st of April. With us today, besides Kim, who you already met, we have Martin Brex from support, and he's here to help assist Kim and me in answering your questions during this walkthrough. So just ask whatever you would like to know additionally to what I'm saying, and then he will answer in the chat. As Kim also mentioned, this session will be recorded, but it will be sent to you within a couple of days alongside with the slides. You can't access the recording from within the chat, so you will have to be patient and just wait till you receive the mail. Now we have just about an hour, small hour, to get through everything. So let's dig in. Let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Anne, and I'm the solution specialist for Continia Banking. So the agenda for today is quite multifaceted. We have small gems scattered all around the solution. First of all, I'll take you into payment allocation. After that, we'll go into alternative payee bank account handling. I'll talk a little bit about anti-money laundering. We'll look at the payment reference rules, regulatory reporting codes, batch level suggestion mode, match on date and amount, split rules, payment service provider, and then I'll talk a little bit about localizations and the future. as you probably already know, and if you don't, then I would suggest that you take a look at either one of our webinars that are for the complete solutions, or go through the Learn modules. Banking is split into two different areas, and the first one is banking export. The second half is banking import. So it's all about the payments going out or the files going out from the system. So payment allocation, again, a payment going out, but to different accounts, and you don't have to think about what you're doing. You just set it up and then it goes that way automatically. Payment allocation is used mainly for tax and social security allocations. We have that requirement in some localizations, for example, for Germany and for the D accounts in future Dutch localization. In real life, this is a locked account with the purpose of making sure that, for example, taxes are paid correctly. In Business Central, this is basically a secondary account on a vendor. The Continia banking functionality will take the original payment and can calculate a partial amount and allocate the payment to the secondary account on the vendor. And this is mainly done because of legislations about chain liability and hires liability. And this is not something we have maybe so much in Denmark, but in other countries. So what is chain liability? It is if you have, or if you as a company contract another company to do part of your job, then that company then also hires another company to do part of the work, and then they build a chain of companies. Companies in this kind of chain have to pay payroll taxes, and payroll taxes is the collective term for wage tax and social insurance premiums. Usually the hirer is responsible for paying payroll taxes, and if you have a hired contractor, that is your company. But if the contractor then hires a subcontractor, it becomes a little bit more complex. So what if one of those companies cannot pay their payroll taxes for this project? The Netherlands Tax Administration can hold any company in the chain liable for these costs, including your company, and that is what we call chain liability. So there's also something called hirer's liability, and that's a special form of chain liability where you as the hirer borrows an employee from another employer, the lender, and this employee then works under your direction and supervision. Hirer's liability occurs mainly in secondment and agency work, and if the lender fails to pay the due payroll tax and possibly also VAT, the tax administration may hold you, the hirer, liable for this. And it can be really hard to get the money from the lender if that's the case. That's why they need to be able to make a payment allocation to a locked account that can only be used to pay, for example, tax authorities. And then I will go into Business Central. And the first thing I want to show you is that on the vendor, if we go into the bank account, first of all, down here, you can see that there is a preferred bank account code. I can then go into bank accounts up here, and then you can see the preferred bank account, but you can also see that I have two other accounts here. To make it a little bit easy, I've called it Bank 10 and Bank 20, and it's just a regular setup of a bank account. There's nothing really important in here. From the vendor, I can then go into related, and from in here, I can see payment allocations. So you can see that I set up a vendor with an allocation type of G account, and a percentage of the amount that I'm paying, 10% in this case, should go to Bank 10, and the other account or the other allocation I set up down here, it's also a percentage of 20. going to bank 20. So if I take a look at the ledger entries for this vendor, see if it's not this one, I think, and I go into payment allocation entries, you can see that for this payment, I actually have the two different allocations. So for 10% and for 20% going to the two different bank accounts. If I did this and I, for some reason, regretted, I had put the payment allocation to this payment, it's not supposed to be, then there is a, see, I have to see if I can find it right now. I am going a little bit blind on this one. Oh, there it is. This one is the indicating the if this is an allocated payment, and you can see that I can actually just untick this, and then it would the payment allocation would go away. But I'm still gonna keep it there because I also want to show you what happens when I do it inside the payment journal. For the payment allocations, you can see here an overview of the payment allocations that are in place or set up. I can go into the payment allocation types. I only have the one for G accounts. I also have payment allocation entries. So I have a complete overview of the different allocations that have already been made. So if I go into my payment journal, and I suggest vendor payments. Just going to check that I set it up for the correct vendor so we don't go to get a whole lot of different entries. And then I don't remember when this payment is for, so I'm just going to put it a little bit into the future here. Good. So now you have three different lines. The first one is the original payment going to the recipient's preferred bank account. But then you also have the line for the 10% and for the 20% going to the different bank accounts. So that is basically payment allocation. Good. Then we have alternative payee bank account handling. This is not something that's needed for everyone, but it might be very important for some users. Alternative payee bank account is actually also most likely a secondary account on a vendor. And this is for payments for a specific person or maybe a specific bank account holder is more precise. Could be for a completely different party. So that could, for example, be something like a debt manager for when a company has the unfortunate destiny of going bankrupt. If you owe money to a company that suffers the fate of bankruptcy, we'll have to pay to the debt manager instead. So we set up a secondary bank account on the vendor and make the payment to them instead. But what happens if you look on the payment that I just sent there, you can see that we still have the vendor name and information attached to that payment, even though it's going to another account, and that can cause that payment to be rejected. So that's why we created additional fields so that you can add the name, or if the bank needs more information, you can also actually fill in a contact and select that to get the right information on the payment. And then all is well. In a system or inside Business Central, I'm just going to show that very simply. Again, we have a preferred bank account, but we also have on the bank accounts bank 1 and bank 2. if we look at the first one here, I just wanted to show you that you could, for example, put in an alternative. We have the two fields down here, and you could put in just an alternative recipient down here if you want to pinpoint it more directly to one person. But you can also use it in this way, where you go in and simply select a contact that you've created, and then you have all the information from that contact going with that payment to the bank. So you are certain that it won't be rejected because it does not have the vendor information on that payment. Good. Let's go back into the slides here. So the next thing is anti-money laundering. So this is added to the security module, and it's to approve or add an extra layer of security to the approved and exported payments. This is an addition to the security module, as I mentioned, and this is mainly to comply with Norwegian legislation, the AML Act. Banks are to, in addition to validating the corporate certificate, also start validating information about the users before processing pre-approved payments that are debited from a Norwegian account. And Nordea starts doing this from the 1st of May 2025. So if approvers are not supplied with correct information, the file will be rejected. This can be set up in the user setup. So you add a social security number to that user, and then that follows the approval or the approved payment to the bank. You can have a max or minimum of 1 approval with an SSN and a maximum of 2 that follows the payment. And this is for now for Nordea and Norway. So maybe I should say that the other way around. It's mainly for Norway and Nordea Bank, but it's not limited to this. So if another bank would provide this information, we could also expand to do that for more banks. Inside Business Central, this looks like this. I just want to go into user setup. And in here, you can see I have a user, and this user has an approver ID where I've put in the social security number. When you set this up, it will be from the bank system. This will be a setting that allows for this to happen on this bank account. If it's not in the bank system, then it's not available to you inside. So you can't accidentally do it on a bank that's not where it's not possible. So what you will see in your system is this anti-money laundering compliance, and then you just enable this, and then the pre-approved, so the social security number will follow that approved payment. Go back to the slides here. So that was all the about payments going out of the system. Now we are going to look at what happens in the other half of the solution. So banking import, which has to do with every file we import into the system with regards to some kind of payment or reconciliation. The first thing I'm going to take a look at is the payment reference rules, which will give you an easy match of OCR payments. So a payment reference is basically a string of characters that tie the incoming payment to a certain vendor, that's supposed to be customer or invoice. So you have a, no, that's actually, it was true. It's vendor, so that would be us as a company and the invoice. So this is basically for now, it's for FIG, Bank Giro, OCR, Swiss QR, it's for KID, and then FI reference. Every country has their own way of doing this, and we strive to supply you with a template for each of these types. And it's as well almost because some countries we can't really, at least not yet. So for example, the Bank Giro OCR, it doesn't have like a complete standard which we can follow, but some of the others have, for example, FIG or KID. When we get a FIG string, for example, we can from that do a one-to-one match to the invoice. A string is not just a string, and you will see that in a second when I go into Business Central, because we really need to set up a rule to be able to recognize what is actually inside that string. Yeah. If you have seen banking before, you know that the match algorithm is very beautiful. And if we go through the match procedure, the first thing we do is we gather all relevant ledger entries to match. Then we determine which type of ledger entry to match based on the transaction type from the bank. We use all the search rules set to always. We look at related party matches. We use the end-to-end ID, which is like the most certain one-to-one match. And then we use the document number to match, the external document number, use search rules with proposal and without proposal. We do an automatic matching of the proposals, and then we create journal lines or apply the entry from the payment application proposal based on the search rules or the input setup to create the journal line method. But now we also have the payment reference match, and when in this sequence does that happen? It happens just after the end-to-end match, which I mentioned is of course one of the most secure matches that we have, and right before looking at the document numbers, because the payment reference is also a very secure way of, or a very it's a one-to-one match. First of all, I will take you into the Continia banking setup before I go into showing the actual setup, because in banking import, sorry, in banking import, we have the different rules that we can turn on or off. And we have a payment reference rule down here that we can enable or disable. So do we want to use that or not? So the rules can also, like the actual rules, can be accessed from the manual setup. So in here you can see all the different rules, and I can also go in and take a look at the payment reference rules that are inside this system. Good. So here you can see that I have two different rules for FIG 71, and this is the FIG 71 for if it doesn't have a prefix, and this is the one that is used if it has a prefix. Let's just take a look at one of those so that we can get so we have an understanding of what is happening when we actually load the payments into our payment reconciliation journal a little bit later. You can see here I can add in the description. I can have a payment reference search field template. So this decides where do I look for the match that I'm searching for. And then I have a validation pattern code. So this is going to look a little bit terrifying when I go in there, but don't fret, it is already pre-configured for you. So this is a set of where it indicates that it's 71 and then slash, and then followed by 15 digits, ensuring that the first 14 digits are not all zeros. And then it has, if you look at the regular expression over here, that's where it gets a little bit scary. But you can always do this with AI or with a consultant, and they can help you set this up if you have some different needs. And you can see this is also set up with a checksum. So if I go out here, I've also enabled the check digit. I have which characters I am to look for or create the check digit for, and which algorithm is used. And in here, because the fig 71 matches to a document number, I have the table that I'm matching to and the document number. I can also make a direct match, so a certain field inside the system has a full reference. I can put in the reference starting position and the length. And then down here, I have the rule filter. So where do I want to use, or which type of file do I want to use this for? Is it CAMP 53, so a statement file, or a payment file? And down here is just a test to set that up. So this is just what we use. So to be able to recognize that payment reference when it comes into the system. If I go into my let's just go into my payment reconciliation journal. And I already have one in here, so I'm just going to import the same one and then apply automatically. This is for if you get files that only contains, for example, FIG payments, Swedish Bankgiro OCR, or if you have KIT payments only coming in one payment file, then you can do that inside the payment reconciliation journal, create a sum of the days, and then match in your bank account reconciliation later on. So what you see here is that all 4 of these lines are completed, and in this, I use the 2 different templates that I've created, one with the prefix and one without the prefix. If I go into the proposal here and take a look at what I have matched, you can see that this has been found by a payment reference rule. So you always know how all of this is matched. Good. Go back into the... See, that's one of the reasons I had a short kind of take back is because I think I moved around some of the slides, but that doesn't really matter as long as you keep in mind that I'll be switching a little bit back between banking import and banking export, because this is actually a banking export feature. When it comes to regulatory reporting codes, that's all about letting tax authorities know if you make payments that are larger than a certain amount cross-border. So for Sweden, it's cross-border payments that are larger than 150 Swedish krona. And for Norway, it's larger than 100,000 Norwegian krona. For Germany, it's amounts larger than 12,500 euros. And if you look at the German overview I have here, there's something called a set 4, and that's a financial report that German companies must submit to Deutsche Bundesbank as part of their external sector statistics. And it's a little bit different from country to country. For Sweden and Norway, this is going to be part of the payment file that they send to the bank. And then the regulatory reporting code would just follow that payment. But for Germany, they actually have to send a file. It doesn't follow the payment file. They have to send another file or another report containing all of these payments, and that might be on a monthly basis. So we've created a setup where you can customize and configure essential information for regulatory reporting with reporting setup, regulatory reporting groups. And if you also look, we have the reporting entries to export to the file. For this, I have a German company set up. Just log in again. And if I go into the vendors, we have the options on the vendor to put in a regulatory reporting code in here. And you can see for this one, I've just added a regulatory reporting code. When it comes to the regulatory reporting codes, we have an overview of the reporting codes that you can attach. We have a reporting setup. So this is only for if you need to create that external file. So I've created one for this at 4. And the reporting amount is above 12,500. And then I've put in some company numbers and contact name and so on. And if I go out again, you can see here, when I've done the payments, this reporting list will be filled out. Now I've only done one, and you can see that those entries would then be able to be exported to a file, and depending on how many days you have in there. So if it's a monthly basis, of course, you would have the last month. Batch level suggestion mode. And this is, oh, I have to go there. And this is to be or not to be advanced. This is to be a little bit more flexible in the choice between advanced and standard mode in the payment suggestion. We made this a batch level choice. If you want to work fast and to the point in the payment journal, or more in depth in advanced mode, you can choose to do so depending on the batch name or the batch journal you want to work in. This gives you like an additional advantage of using, for example, the suggestion templates, and that way create the lines in the different journals depending on what you want to do. And that can be done in a suggestion template where you can set up like what do you want to and how do you want that payment suggestion to be done, but also using filters, for example, to differentiate. So this is giving you almost total freedom in how you want to work inside. If I go into the payment journals, you can see here I have one. This is the standard mode. And if I look over here in the banking suggestion mode, that's just a regular payment journal because that's the standard setup. And then I have a record here or a payment journal that is set up for advanced mode over here in banking suggestion mode. Now, if I go out into the payment suggestion templates and take a look at what I've done in here, so you can see I have one suggestion payment suggestion template, which I call standard, and that is going into the payment journal. And then I have one here I called advanced, and that's going into the advanced payment journal that I created. So if I, for example, take this one, you can see that I've set it up for being like, I want every payment that is smaller than 99,000 to go into the payment journal and larger than the 100,000 to go into the advanced. So if I do create suggestion from in here, I just want to select a proper date. Really this, for example, and then press OK. I can go into the payment journal in here and see the lines that were created. If I then, I will just go ahead and delete. No, they shouldn't be the same, so that's fine. If I go into the payment suggestion template again, and I choose the advanced one here and create suggestion, again, I'm just going to choose a date a little bit into the future. that takes me into the payment suggestion. So again, because advanced mode doesn't go into the payment journal yet, then it creates a payment suggestion for me. And as you can see here, there's one payment inside this, and that contains one payment that is of 154,000. Yeah. Good. Now we go back into the banking import. This is match on date and amount. So if the shoe fits, why not wear it? This is all about matching to bank account ledger entries when there is no end-to-end ID. What this provides you with is a match on the exact same date and on the for the exact same amount. And this could be used, for example, for everything that you have handled before switching to Continia Banking. Could also be just one of the ways that you work inside your company where you don't really pay from our payment journal. That sometimes happens. And this could be for some posts from the cash receipt journal or the payment reconciliation journal. And this just creates a better match experience. I will switch again, not to this one, to another browser. Let's take this one here. And if I go into my payment reconciliation journal and into this one here, you can see that I have created, I've just done this manually. So I've just created one for the transaction date, the 31st of January 25. And then I put in date and amount. That's not really relevant. That's just to show you that this is what it's about. The transaction amount is 150, and I have selected an account that I want that to be posted to. So I will say apply to account, and then that is completed, and then I will go ahead and post the payments only. So that means I'm just applying this and posting it to make an amount of 150 on the 31st of January. And then I'll go into my bank account reconciliation down here, where I've also created a line. I didn't do anything other than create a line of from the 31st of January, put in date and amount match on the description, not relevant. The statement amount is 150, and then I press match automatically. And then that is completed based on the date and amount. And then I can go ahead and post. Good. I'll go back into the slides here. And then we have split rules, which is also in reconciliation. So this is for when you get an amount in to your reconciliation in some way, like a payment, for example, could be, or it could also be an outgoing payment. This is a rule to distribute amounts to different accounts. So it could be fixed amount, it could be a percentage, it could be transaction specific, what you want to split. And it can be run manually from the reconciliation if you don't have it running already from a transaction code rule or from a search rule. I'm going to go back into my system here, and then I'm just going to go into banking import here. And then in the same way as the other rules, you can turn on split rules here. And also down here, you can turn on date and amount. That was done already in the other setup that I had. In manual setup, you can access the split rules. So they're a little bit different from other rules. These rules are actually attached to, for example, a search rule or to a transaction code rule. I'll show you how that works in just a second. I have a fee split set up, I have a leasing split set up, and I have a transaction split set up. If I go into my overview in here of bank transaction code rules, so that means payments coming in where or transactions coming in where I have identified them based on the different transaction codes and the way that they're put together. So for example, in this case, I have one payment IDDT and then BBDD. And then I've put a transactions split rule, and then inside the split rule code over here in the right side of the screen. You can see I've done that to a couple of the rules going downwards. Good. If I go into my bank account reconciliation, and I press import here, and then just match automatically. It's because it's an existing one I already have inside the system. Otherwise, it would match automatically from the beginning. I have these 3 lines to show you different types of split rules. So I've set them to be, these are not automatically, it just finds the split rule. They're not set up to create the journal lines automatically. So it just indicates to me that it's found a search rule, and then I'll go through them one by one. So the first one here is pending in the cash receipt journal. If you look in the proposals in here, it's found by the document number. Over here in the payments match details, you can see transaction description. So here are the 3 transaction codes that are put together. You remember me showing the 3 different types that can be attached. And based on that, it has split this payment based on the split rule code transaction split, which was attached to that transaction code sequence. If we look down in the applied amount, it's 5,355. If we look at the statement amount, it's 5,505. That means that it's a little bit more. But then there's a split amount of 150. And then you can see there's no difference, and the applied amount is just fully applied to the invoice. If we look in the cash receipt journal, you can see there are 3 lines. So it's only one that's switched to the cash receipt journal. But as you know, there's 1 line for the bank or the balancing account also. So if I look down here, you can see that there's a bank account line for the full amount. And then we have the 2 different, one closing the customer ledger entry here, and one set up with a GL account of 150. So that's I'll just go into the transaction code rule here. So you can see this is set up in this way here, where I've chosen the account to post it to. I have set it up for a fixed amount, and then that's just how that's done. Now let's go to the next line here, which it found a search rule. And based on that search rule, I'm just gonna say create journal line from search rule. So this is the way of working inside the bank account reconciliation. It's a little bit different in the payment reconciliation journal, but I'll show you. Again, this is here. You can see split rule code, fee split. And if I go into that one, I'll just show you the split rule, the split line amount of 2. And if I go into my matching rule up here, all such rules, I have one called bank fee And if I edit this one, you can see here it's set up in a normal way, but then it has a split rule called attached. So that means that when it uses this search rule, it will handle it in the way that it's supposed to with the account number. But then it also goes in and handles the split based on the rule that I've set up in here. So here you can see it's split by a search text. And then I look at the text that's inside my details. It searches for this word here, fee, and then with a colon. And then the amount is same sign. So that means whatever it is in the transaction text. It looks for the amount after the search text. And then it's just where do I search for it? And then the GL account that I've set it up for. I can even set up how I want the 1000 separator and the decimal separator to look. So if I go out again here into the statement lines, you can see this is the fee. So you can see that that's 2. And if I then go into my general journal here and look at the lines, you can see that there is the original line of 10 that I is posted on the bank account, and then the amount going into the gebyr, and then the 2 that was defined inside the text and based on the split rule. The next one here, split lines, there are 2. And if I go ahead and look at those, you can see that I have these 2 here. So that's based on the search rule that I set up. If I go into, let's just say here, you can see this over here. It's the split rule called leasing split, and the search text is about leasing. So if I go into my rules up here, I have an abode leasing, and if I go into that one, you can see that I have the leasing split in here, and I'll open that to show you how the rules are set up. So I have a fixed amount. The fixed amount is 100. It's a negative amount, and that's just set up for a GL account. And then I have a search text. It's also a negative amount. It's a terminsgebyr, which is a Danish word. I'm sorry. And then it looks for the amount after the search text, and then where do I search for it, and then the GL account that it's set up for. So if I go out again here and I do the, where is it, create journal line from search rule, you can see it now created some lines inside the general journal. And you can see that here I have the original amount, the fixed amount, the gebyr or the fee based on the text inside the transaction details, and then the bank or balance account line. So you can see here, this is 25. If I was to do, let's just go ahead and say, oh, no. Let's just go ahead and say, oh, where's it? Here. Delete the lines. Yes. And well, I'll just delete this completely. I go into my payment reconciliation journal. I'll just do another one. This one here. And then import and apply the bank transactions that I had. You can see this is the same lines that I just showed you inside the bank account reconciliation. And then this is what happens inside the payment reconciliation journal. Each of the split lines are indented from the original line. And then if you look at you can go inside the proposal and take a look at what has happened in the same way as you did in the this line was created due to the split rule transactions rule. So you have an overview of what has happened. And you can also see information over here about how it was applied and reconciliation line details of how it was created. But you can see that the amounts are the same, but because this is the payment reconciliation journal, it's just all visible inside the overview. Good. Yeah. This is a very, very nice feature, I think. Then we are arriving at the payment service provider. And this, of course, is well known by some. It's new to others, so I'm going to take it from the top. I think we all know what a payment service provider is. They handle our electronic payments and sometimes more. They do that for companies who have a web shop or use some kind of marketplace. At some interval, they transfer an amount to the company's bank account, but when they do that, the details are not included. So it might be, yes, the customer's payments, but also fees and commissions and so on. And if you are a company that has these kind of amounts coming in, the only way you can know what the amount covers is by getting that file and putting it into Business Central manually. And this is where we offer our help in the form of the payment service provider feature. We support files from Adyen, Bol.com, Klarna, Molly, MultiSafePay, NetEasy, PayPal, and Worldline. If you know about payment management, we also provided support for Amazon. That is coming. It's not ready yet, but we do have it in the pipeline very soon. The thing about what we're doing in Continia Banking is that we now import CSV files through our CSV port. And in that CSV port, we have the payment service provider set up with a fixed template that you can then copy. You can create new ones yourself if you have an unsupported format. You can send it to us, and then we can do a template from that CSV file, and of course information from the payment service provider. And we can do that pretty quickly now, whereas before we had to wait a little while to get it done. We can match to invoices and ledger entries. So before we only in payments management, we match to ledger entries, but we can actually set it up to match to invoices or also unposted or credit memos. There is a payment service provider rule for each of the transaction types. And then we are all, of course, available to, or it's available to summon post a bank account to match in the reconciliation. And there you can use the date and amount match. Yeah, let's go into environment again. Just go out here. We have the payment service provider list. And as you can see in this list that I have a couple of templates set up already over here in the, or sorry, agreements set up over here in the right side. If I access those, you can see that I've set one up for Klarna and I have one called Klarna 1. So they're pretty much identical. So it's not really relevant to look at them, but it's just to show that you can have more. Related to that PSP agreement, we have the option to put a dimension. We have the external reference rules. So this is not something you now do outside of scopes or kind of inside the banking setup. This is now attached to the payment service providers. So what you do is you say the PSP agreement And then you choose for not posted entries or ledger entries or posted invoice entries or posted credit memo entries. You have 4 options. You can set up a reference template. And this is set up to be the external document number, but it could be that you can only match on something that is on the sales invoice, for example. It doesn't get transferred to the ledger entries. So if you wanted to match on that specific thing, you can set that up here with a new, let's just say that I wanted something here. I could put in another set of information. So this is not very likely, but well, maybe it might be a Shopify order ID. It might be some other kind of order ID that you get in, and that you can just set up in here. Good. What happens when you, I just want to check if I actually have that on this one. Yeah, I do. What happens when I add one of these external reference rules is that it creates, let's just try and see if we can't, let's just take a ledger entry and say, it might not have anything, but let's just say your reference here. It's probably because it's already filled out. Oh yeah, see, some entries were changed. We recommend to regenerate external references in documents. Do you want to generate external references? And that's because I put in a new criteria for this. So I press yes, and then I can go out here and I can look inside the, let's just take a customer. I think maybe this one. I have an ongoing sales invoice. If I go down here, there's nothing on that one. Now I have to remember which one it was. Okay. Maybe it was this one. Yeah. So on this one, you can see down here, I have, and this is on an ongoing sales invoice. I have 2 PSP agreements. So the external payment reference is available to those 2 agreements. And basically what happens is that when you go into your cash receipt journal, let's just take this Klarna one here, and you import the file that you get from Klarna, you can see that it's set up to be posted on the different rules that you set up. So the accounts based on, this is a commission, I want that to be posted on this GL account. This is a holdback, I want that to be posted on this GL account. But you can also see that I have these 2 with a payment reference that is, or an external reference match that apply to different invoices. And then I have this one, which have the same kind of reference, but its status is not posted document matched. So I have to go in and then post that match or post that invoice, and then I'm ready to post my cash receipt journal and match in the bank account reconciliation. Just to round things off, because I have actually a little bit over time, I hope that's okay. Localizations in the R1 release and later, we have now released for Norway and Finland, and the Netherlands will be released sometime in this half year, close to summer or in the summer. And for the future, what can you expect? So of course, the NL localization, and with that, the direct debit reversal handling. We have multi-level payment discount and payment suggestions, summarizing payments after creating a payment suggestion, multiple currency payments from one bank account, payment suggestions split on multiple order bank accounts, import of multiple bank statements and automation, handling of associations in payment import, and then matching of GL open entries. So that's coming in the future. And then from me, I just want to say thank you, and I'm sorry for taking you 2 minutes over time. Basically, we had a lot of things we wanted to show you, and I hope you enjoyed it all. And I just want to wish you a very nice afternoon and weekend. So yeah, thank you and bye.